Hello everyone, we're going to look at our 3.1 lesson practice. So the different types of questions that we can ask and survey people are going to have two different types of data, either quantitative data, which has values that are numbers or measurements or quantities instead of words. Sometimes it can also be referred to as numerical data, like how many pets do you have, etc. And then our second is categorical data, which is values that are categories like colors, words, zip codes. It's important to be specific when you're writing these survey questions so that you gather the exact type of data that you are looking for. So problem 1 here says, which one would not be a good survey question? What grade are you in? How many books did you read in the last year? How many inches are in a foot? And how many pets do you have? So this question, A, B, and D are going to be specific to the person that you're asking. You're getting survey information from someone. But C, how many inches in a foot? This is not a good survey question because that is just a real answer, right? 12 inches in a foot. It's not going to be different for each person. Beautiful. Let's go to problem 2. And we're going to do some sorting. We have categorical versus quantitative. The first question of how old are you is a good survey question. It's going to be specific to each person, and you're going to get a number, so it'll be quantitative. Do you have any pets? This is going to be a yes or a no answer, so that's going to be categorical. And then finally, how many siblings do you have is going to be a number, so it'll be quantitative. So we're sorting our data between categorical and quantitative. Beautiful. On the next slide, it says select all the questions that would produce a quantitative data. How many people live in your home is the first one. That will be a number, right? We're looking at the number of people that live in your home. Your favorite breakfast food, maybe eggs or waffles, which is going to be a category. How did you travel to school this morning? Again, could be by walking, biking, car. All of those are categories. How many minutes did it take you to get ready this morning? That is going to be quantitative. We're looking for the number of minutes. And then the last one's, what's the last thing that you ate or drink? Water, coffee, a bagel. All of that is going to be a category. So we have two options here. And we can go to the next slide. Carleen claims that players on the school basketball teams are taller than players on the soccer team. So write 2 survey questions that Carleen could ask to investigate this claim. So what are the 2 questions that Carleen could ask? Could be quantitative or categorical, that can figure out who is taller, whether you're on the basketball or soccer team, and what that height is. So you're going to think about those 2 questions and what you could ask, and then push ahead to the next slide, which says Devin and Aaron Durrani want to know about the types of food that their classmates prefer. So what's a survey question that would give you categorical data about your classmates' preferences? So you want the answer to be a category, a word. What would a question you could ask that would fit that need? Beautiful. The next slide says here are some responses to the question of what is your birthday? January 7th, March 18th, and December 23rd. And it says, Jalen is not sure if this is categorical or quantitative. Explain why this type of data is unclear. So it is going to be specific to everyone. Birthdays have numbers in them, so it can be a little confusing. It can think it's quantitative because we have a number in them, but they don't work like regular numbers. Also, 2 people can have the same birthday, but it can be a totally different year, right? So it can be a little confusing as to which data this would be, but I would say overall this is categorical. But you can see why that's a little unclear. So you're gonna put an explanation in there as to why it could kind of be seen as either. And then go to the next slide. What is another question that could generate data that is unclear? So something that we saw in the first slide is like, what is your area code or your zip code, right? It's a number, but it's also a category. Or what's your favorite number, right? You would get a number answer, but we're not counting or quantitative something. We're looking at a category of your favorite number. So some of those data questions can be a little unclear. Problem 8 says, think about your community. What information would you like to know about people in it? And you're going to write an example of one question that will give quantitative data and one question that will give categorical data. So maybe, how many years have you lived in this city? Or, something that's going to give a quantitative answer. And categorical, maybe, what's your favorite place to go in the community, or something that's going to give a category. What's your favorite local grocery store, right? Thinking of a category response there. And then push ahead to the next slide. We're going to look at some spiral review. So we have this equation of 5 times 3x minus 2 is equal to negative 55, and we want to find the value of x that would make this true. We can either distribute this 5 or we can move it to the other side. It's attached with multiplication right now, so we can move it by dividing it on both sides. 5 divided by 5 will cancel, and we're just left with 3x minus 2 equals negative 55 divided by 5 is negative 11. Now we're going to move this negative 2 to the other side by doing that opposite operation and adding 2 to both sides. Negative 2 plus 2 will cancel, and then we just have 3x equals negative 11 plus 2 gets us negative 9. And then our final step is to divide both sides by 3. And we get x equals negative 9 divided by 3 is negative 3. So when x is negative 3, we get a true statement. Beautiful. I should put x equals negative 3. There we go. And then push to the next slide. A scientist is studying 2 different types of bacteria that's growing. The table represents the number of bacteria cells in the days since her experiment began. If the pattern continues, which type of bacteria will there be more of after 4 days? So looking at our first pattern, let me get my pen tool. Here we go. We're going from 1 to 3, and then to 9, and then to 27. So each time we are multiplying by 3 to get the next value. So on day 4, we would have 27 times 3, which gets us 81. And if we look at the right side, 80 to 100, we're adding 20 each time. So this is an arithmetic sequence. So here we would be at 160. So we can see how much is there after 4 days. And then the next one on day 5, we would have 81 times 3, which would get us 243. And 160 plus 20 is going to get us 180. So we can see that bacteria A is definitely going to have more after 4 days. Whenever we have that geometric sequence, when it's increasing with multiplication exponentially, it's going to get bigger much faster than if it's arithmetic, increasing with addition each time. Beautiful. Next slide. If the pattern continues, which type of bacteria will there be more of after 10 days? So, of course, after 10 days, oh, I'm sorry, wait, let's go back to slide A. This is just looking for on 4 days. So that was bacteria B, because we had 81 here and 160. We went a little too far here on this one, my bad. So after 4 days, bacteria B is going to have more. But then once we get to day 5, that's when we have gone up to 243 versus 180. That's when the bacteria A will switch, and then we'll have that more bacteria produced because of that exponential growth. So the first one was bacteria B, then bacteria A, once we get to day 5. Beautiful. Last slide. Tamaya is organizing 2 sets of marbles. How many marbles are in each set? So set A has 17 green marbles and 23 marbles that are not green. So set A is 17 plus 23, which gets us 40. And for set B, we have 13 green and 12 that are not green. And we add those together, we get 25 for set B. Across both sets, how many marbles does Tamia have in total that are not green? So now we're looking all in the not green column, and that is 23 and 12 are all the marbles that are not green, which gets us 35 in total. Beautiful. On the last slide, you'll see your reflection. You'll be able to see if they're correct and looking good. And once you're finished with this, make sure, as always, that you are submitting into Schoology. Take care. Check your grades. See if there's anything you need to meet with me about and chat about. Otherwise, I will see you all in the next video. Bye, friends.